Penguin, issue 11, Tom King writing with Raphael De La Torre on the art. So this one actually finally brings us up to a scene that was teased a few issues ago with Penguin's dead son.
Yep.
We kind of get to that point by the end here. So the big thing here is that at the end of that last issue, Batman had a meeting with the Penguin's daughter, and she told him what the Penguin's up to and that he's been used by the Penguin. This issue starts off with the consequence of that, which is Batman beating the piss out of the Penguin.
He's broken his nose 37 times.
Well, not in this scene. Yeah, not in this scene, but like, yeah.
But over the course of the relationship, he's broken Penguin's nose 37 times. And I kind of just love the casual detachment that Oswald has to all of this. Because like he knows that Bruce is mad at him, but he's not letting it show. You know, he's still just talking in his typical way. And I thought that dynamic here has been consistent throughout, and I'm glad that King hasn't shifted from it.
Yeah, Batman's whole thing is like, you know what, given who I am and what I do, I don't get to enjoy beating people up, but after what you've done, I want to, you owe me some joy. And the Penguin's like, I'm done giving out joy. So, Batman goes off, right, at the end of the thing, but he's like, hey, our deal's done, you're not my informant anymore, so if you do anything, you're going to be held just as, you know, culpable as anyone else, right? Yep. Consider yourself on the villain list. The Help goes to retrieve the Penguin's, like, backup money, right?
His stash of gold.
Yeah, basically it's a contingency plan in case Penguin ever loses his empire. He'd have enough money to bribe his way back up to the top.
Yep.
But when the Help goes to the secret vault, he finds it empty, barring one thing, a Batarang.
It looks like Bruce found the gold.
Yeah. I mean, this is not necessarily right now in continuity, but I love the idea that that's how he got all his money back in Batman and Detective, is that he found Penguin's gold billion.
And you know what? It's dirty money, so who am I to spend it? Who am I to not spend it, I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But this issue is like Penguin's ex-wife leaves Penguin a note saying that she's off.
Because he doesn't have anything, so now she no longer finds him attractive, you know? Which I thought is like, man, he really built up Penguin to just have him fall down here, which is funny because the title of this issue is Penguins Usually Can't Fly. So I was like, oh, this is like the Penguin in Free Fall. This is what he's getting at.
Yeah, but like to a point though, some of it's kind of orchestrated because like her leaving is whatever, and obviously a big sad full page spread where he's sitting with his head, you know, in his face, or his head in his palm, I should say, as the bat signals out the window behind him. But you see the Penguin's kids, like they interview Black Tiger. A Spider.
Black Spider.
Not Tiger. Yeah. And they're like, hey, you were at a lot of these key scenes where Penguin like kind of screwed up with our supply chains and like all of our business. So, you know, and she talks about in her narration, the daughter talks about how, she's used to the look in the face when they've realized that Penguin screwed them over. Like he's put them in a predicament, and he has that look on his face right now where he's realizing that doing this job for Penguin has led him to the end of his line. So basically they demand to know like everything, basically. But Penguin seemingly sends home the 4th of July. You know, the guy from the 4th of July thinks he's going to be killed, but he just gets a ticket home. The Help seems to have been sent home as well, or at the very least it looks like he's abandoned Penguin because he's not been paid. And it's just this kind of thing where it's like, oh, all this is happening, and Penguin goes to the FBI lady and basically says, like, you know what? I wasn't hurting anyone. You dragged me into this, and we're done, right? And everyone who I have killed or has been killed as a result of me trying to take back the city for you is on you. So what I loved about this is that this character, this FBI agent, is that later on her narration comes in again, but without seeing her. And I knew it was her purely because she kept swearing. Because that's her gimmick, is she keeps dropping F-bombs and whatever else she's saying.
And there's a rhythm to it, too. King's writing it, and this is where I would push back on Connor, that everybody's voice sounds the same. And I was like, clearly no. because you know it's her, even without the cussing. If it was just her, there's a flow to the way that she talks.
Yeah, Carl's an idiot. There's no disputing this.
No, I know, but it's my one nit. It's not even anybody. The one thing where he says that King writes everybody the same. It's like, no, you haven't read a proper King book in a very long time, bud. Like, so this one right here shows it, because when she shows back up and you can't see her face, even without the censored words, you would still be able to figure out that's her. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah, she's pissed. She feels that she's been threatened by Penguin by him saying, "Hey, all these bodies that have dropped will be on you." Blah 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 blah. And she sort of like tries to goad him by saying, "I thought you were like effing Penguin. Who the hell are you now?" kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, it feels like Penguin is giving up and that he's content. Like he's just thrown in the towel, and that his partnership with Batman's falling apart. He's sending people home. His ex-wife's gone home. It feels like it's over. And this is when we cut to the Iceberg Lounge, and it's just his daughter on her own, sipping a martini or whatever it is, saying that this is it. And Penguin, it just pulls out a book called Birds of America. He sits down, and what we see outside is like the bad guys that have come to kill Penguin, led by Penguin's son, are coming up the stairs in his apartment building. But it turns out that some of the 4th of July are here, that the help is here, and they start firing on these guys. And not only that, FBI agents show up working, for FBI lady, and they're here as well, because the bad guys. I think it's like the narration from one of the main ones is that he was usually a henchman for Two-Face, because Two-Face is pretty straight with them and he knows where he stands with Two-Face. But when he found out that he had a chance to kill Penguin and this is the thing that really got him, is that everyone now knows that Penguin was feeding information to Batman. So a lot of the criminal underworld are pissed at him now. So that's interesting. But he's like, wait, why are the FBI here? Why are they involved in this? What's going on? So we get all this. We also get the sad, tragic death of the 4th of July member, the one who was like the one that could duplicate himself.
Silent majority.
Yeah, but there's only like one version of him left, and he's very confused. Well, he seems to die here. He gets shot to shit.
And he says, as his narration goes through, he's describing how everyone else is going down, and he's like, "We were a crowd, we were a legion, we were an army," and he's talking about himself.
Yeah.
Right. And he liked it better that way. And then at the end, when it shows that he dies, he says, "Back then, I never had to die by myself." And I was like, "Oh my God, damn it, King! Make me care for this character that I didn't know existed, 8 issues ago."
Yeah, it's really effective, and the art here is really good as well, because you get those panels. Like the in-between panels where it's all black with just the people wearing like red and like just a little bit like a line as if the blood of the gunshot is like going through them. It's the sort of the high contrast style as the gunshots are going off. Really, really good. But then you get like because that's like the first wave that go in, and then Penguin's sons with the second wave, and they're all wearing suits and ties, and they got the glow behind them of the fire as they're walking. It feels really imposing. And yeah, the son's angry, he's firing his gun, and it cuts to Penguin sitting in his chair, and he literally yawns looking at his book, even though there's a gunfight going on in the stairwell.
It feels kind of like in Godfather when they do, what was it, the christening scene, and they're calling in all the guys to make these murders while they know that Michael's at his baby's, whatever it was. It felt kind of like that, but instead of being at a church, he's reading his bird book. As all this is, so this is this is the outcome of all of his machinations.
Yeah, it's different because he's at the scene in this case.
Yes,
but obviously, the panels in between him yawning as he's sitting, he's reading his book, are all like in silhouette with the guys firing the guns with just fire behind them. Whereas Penguin's sitting in muted like blues and greens, and he just kind of yawns. Yeah. It really does a good job of doing that sort of like, because in a movie it's that harsh cut of all the sound of the gunfire and fighting to the quiet of just like sitting there. Here, of course, the sound would still be there. It would just be more muffled because it's a couple of rooms over or whatever. But really good. And you get a full page spread here of Batman, right, with the bat signals in the sky behind him. He's grappling through the air, and it's just the FBI agent lady. This is the page where her narration comes back in. And she's just livid about the situation, that Penguin's put them in this situation, and that all hell's breaking loose. And she's like, one of the agents asked her, "Should we call the effing Batman?" Really? No, you effing idiot, ignorant piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't need the effing Batman. I need the effing Penguin. Like, that really made me laugh. And then when you find out that Batman's not even on his way to here, because this is how we find out the Help's still around, because he's not at the gunfight. I said the Help is still in the city, but he's on the rooftop. He's turned on the bat signal. So Batman has basically been kept distracted from this gunfight happening just to make sure that he's not there while this is going on. The Help is still working for the Penguin. And that's actually the final panel, is him standing there. Because as this is happening, it intercuts with what's going on back at the apartment. It's basically Penguin's son stumbling in after being shot a bunch of times, and Penguin finishing the job by stabbing him with his umbrella. So we get this ultra blood red panel of, again, high contrast, but now the red, instead of the clothes being red and the background being black, now the background's completely red, and like it's just like black and white, kind of like high contrast highlights for the two characters. But it's basically just this idea that they're keeping Batman distracted. Like, so it really sells this idea that this was all a plan by Penguin. He lured his son in, he lured the army to come in to make his big play. When it looked like he was giving up, he was actually plotting and scheming his biggest play yet.
Yep. And so he had also told the FBI that if anything happens to him, if he dies, everything that he's worked with her for is going to go out to the public. So that's why she's there to counter, because Penguin's got to stay alive, or else he's going to, blow up her spot.
He basically obviously has some of the 4th of July there to like help defend him, but he's basically forced the FBI into having like a squad there as well to so it ends up being this bloodbath. And we got this scene like a few issues ago where they teased like all these dead bodies up the stairwell with Penguin's son at the top.
And he sent Sparkler home because he actually gave him a ticket. That's what he gave him in the car for him to leave. And I remember in that issue, it had, 4 of the 5 members of the 4th of July. And we were wondering who was the one that made it out.
And he's the one that had the family, right?
He's the one that had the family. But also, Penguin doesn't do things out of the goodness of his heart. Right? So what's the catch there? Is the Sparkler going to be his
He's probably got
card?
Yeah, something planned for him later is the only thing I can think. Yeah.
So, but yeah, just, when you realize that Batman's not on his way to to Penguin's location, he's going to the bat signal where the Help is.
Because you think he is. You get that full page and you think, oh, Batman's on his way. But no, he's not. Yeah. He's being distracted on the other side of town.
Yeah. So we get there and it's just like, oh man, it's almost like not a gut punch in that way because you're not rooting for anybody, but it was almost like that, oh, I got played. It's the look of the face that his daughter had seen, right? When the Penguin has played you.
Yeah, and that's the same look in her face that she's going to have when she realizes what's happened to her brother. I think it's so good because it does play the audience the same way Penguin's playing all the other characters. Yeah. But it doesn't betray the format of the book, because this entire book has been Penguin has got a plan, and like a lot of the issues have been, okay, he's recruiting these people and this is what his end goal by the end of the issue is, and so many of the issues have played out by that we can't even feel mad. This is played out exactly like so many of the other issues. It's just that he's actively trying to mislead other characters in the book, so we feel misled as well, but in a fun way where we feel like we're in on it by the end.
Right, and do we think that he sent his ex-wife away to keep her safe? Right, while all this was going off, so she wasn't a target?
I'm conflicted, because it's either that or she did leave genuinely the way she said she did, and that was the motivation for him to realize like what he had to do.
We need to change. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure which one I lean towards more, but that feels like a possibility to me. It feels like Batman taking all of his money and her leaving is like, okay, that means I have to tackle this differently.
I have to head on, right, versus in the shadows, because the look on his face too when when he reads the letter, though, it almost could be a look of relief as well, like, oh good, she left. I don't have to do anything else. But yeah, I am looking forward to the confrontation between him and his daughter now, because she has proven to be Penguin's daughter through and through with the way that she went to Batman to rat just like he would have. So I wonder if it's almost going to be like this. Well, I I raised my kid to be like me. Is that a success or a failure? Right.
Yeah, I
So,
also, going back to what you said earlier about how Penguin pointing out, or sorry, him pointing out to her that all the dead bodies
yep.
are on her because she put him back into the world and said, you have to do this. I think it's really interesting that that was brought up, and then by the end of the issue, there's an entire massacre worth of dead bodies that now are also still going to be in her head. It's almost like he's saying, hey, also all the other ones that are about to come up, they're all on you too. Every single dead body in my wake is going to be on you.
Everything that I have to do goes back to you. This is on you. You wear it on your conscience.
Yeah.
Because he, even in the conversation with Sparkler when he takes him out of the car, and he says, I'm not a good man. And the way that he gets at that is about, what's he say? He looks at him and says, I'm not a good man. I never saw the use for it being, it's like, you understand what all this means. You know, he didn't ever do things because it was good. He only did stuff because they're necessary. Right. And so like this is a necessary thing to keep, you know, to get his, I don't know if it's wife or his girlfriend, whoever he's been living with, where they plucked him out of the thing. Everything he does is necessary to get her away from the FBI, you know, and it's not for a force of good. So yeah, oh man, this book is so good. I look forward. If you would have told me I would looking forward to a Penguin book in the year 2024, and it's almost, I won't say it's like the best crime book. It's the best one I'm reading right now, right? Like it has more in common with like a Brubaker Phillips criminal kind of book.
Oh, for sure.
At times,
I can see that.
it does a typical Batman book. So it's very much in that, almost like Gotham Central in that way, because that was Brubaker and Rucka. But yeah, so very good stuff.
Yeah, art's very good throughout as well. I really like on that last page how you get the bat signal in the top panel, and then the panel underneath it, goes back to Penguin standing in front of his son. The light shining into that room from the fire and whatever else is in the exact same part of the frame that the bat signal's in the other two panels above and below it. So there's like a through line for your eye to follow where the light, it's not the light of the bat signal hitting them, but it almost feels like it because the way it sort of goes between the panels. And it just makes it all flow very nice. So really like that. It's gorgeous throughout though. The full page spread of Batman swinging through the city's great. The son and his men like coming through the fire to get to Penguin.
Yeah. Also
great. It all builds up really well. Excellent. It's obviously funny in places at the start as well, with Batman breaking his nose again, saying, "Hey, let's see if we can make it to 38 or whatever the line was at the end.
If you go crooked, we'll make it 38.
Yeah. So I'm loving Penguin. It's a great book. So what were you rating Penguin, Matt?
I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. Yeah, 9 out of 10. Penguin's fantastic.